Hello and welcome to Dateline New Haven. I'm your host, Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make New Haven tick. Well, one of our big headlines lately about someone who makes New Haven tick is McAllister. She's the new director of arts, culture, and tourism for New Haven. She's the arts person in City Hall and in the city right now, and she's here to tell us about what is in store for us. Welcome, Sean. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
And I'm going to ask you to get so close to the mic that you're almost touching it.
Okay.
There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Lovely.
So it's been about a week or two, right, that you've been appointed?
We're coming on 3 weeks this upcoming week.
3 weeks. So how's it feel to be the city's director, the number one person in charge of the arts in the city?
It feels great. I feel very humbled, right? I feel very honored because to me it's a service. Like, it's public service, yes, but I've always felt like my work in the arts, or my work period, whether I was in the arts or whether I was at the bank, where I was, like, I'm here it's bigger than me, and I'm here to do, a good job, so that ideally what happens during my time outlives me.
So tell people who don't know, Director of Arts, Culture, and Tourism, what is the job? Like, are you the person in the city who organizes some events with city money, who partners with nonprofits in the community who do arts, who listens to people who have concerns or hopes and dreams for building up the arts?
It's a little bit of everything. So those two things. So definitely the office putting out their own programming, but then helping to collaborate with other organizations and independent artists as well to help some of their visions come true, or to help connect people to the right people. And then, I've been thinking a lot about the culture piece of, like, very much, who are we? Who is New Haven? If that may not make grammatical sense, but I think the people will dig what I'm saying. Like, what do we stand for? Who are we? And then the tourism, not just getting folks into New Haven, but getting the folks within New Haven out to more different things that are going on. And I want folks to know it's not just downtown focused. Like, my vision is not just downtown. I think every neighborhood has more than one thing to offer. I think New Haven's rich soil, so each aspect of our city is something worth going to see, spending time, spending your economic dollars there. And the arts covers so much, not just in seeing a show or hearing music, but there's culinary arts, there's arts in fashion, there's arts in architecture, design. I think that there's an avenue for arts in health. Like, how do our doctors' offices look? How does that help with wellness and our overall feel of things?
That's interesting. So, like, that is so true. You feel so differently going into different doctors' offices.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you feel kind of relaxed and comfortable, and sometimes you feel like kind of clinical and cold.
Yeah, a space makes a difference in how you feel. Even like folks' office spaces. I think a lot about the developments that are going up. Like, what is the artwork that's in these buildings, in these homes?
And I wonder if there's a way of connecting local artists to some of those places. I know some of them do.
Yeah.
I remember 360 State went up. They made a big deal about art in their lobby.
Yeah, it is important. Everybody, nothing just wants to look like a hotel lobby. You want it to feel vibrant, and the folks who are coming to live here, what are they going to do? So people need things to do, and to be enriched. Not just, spend your casual time. That's fine. There's times and places for that. But I really would like to. Livelihood is so important right now. And there's a lot going on. So making sure that folks, whatever we can do through our office to support that and to help folks be well-rounded.
It's kind of nice when your job in government is to just help people realize their dreams.
Yeah.
I was interested in what you said. We're talking to Sean McAllister, who's the new Director of Arts, Culture, and Tourism for the city of New Haven. You talked about culture, think about who we are. I think about that often, that whether it's the mural someone puts on a wall or the play someone writes or the music, I kind of also feel like it's part of a process of figuring who we are as a community, who we are as human beings.
Yes.
And who we are as a community. I always thought that arts is politics with soul, like sort of like thinking about the why we are what we are and why we get up in the morning and why we do things with each other rather than just like sleepwalking through life.
Yeah, that's key. That's what makes life worth living. The why is what's important. Like, I very much ask people, what's your why? Because that's what makes the difference, in what you're doing and how you do it.
And I guess I would say for why it's two things. One is to connect with other human beings and my world, this environment around me. And the other is to try, and I think this is hard, that when you leave the planet or you breathe your last breath, that on balance, you left things a little better than if you hadn't been there, which is a lot,
Yeah, that's everybody.
Because we use up a lot and we, do some things we shouldn't do.
Right. That's all everyone's kind of like secret mission to a certain degree. Because when you go, you want to feel like my time here was worth something. Like, even if people, folks think that they say if you smile, give folks a smile or be kind, because you never know what somebody's going through. These small impacts of interactions, people remember how you made them feel and how they were treated. So even if you just gone through life being a good person, you've done a lot. Because I do believe there are more, good people out here. I think there's more good than there are.
And that people themselves can be complicated.
Yes,
that
we're
even
humans.
if they're because of circumstances they do things maybe they shouldn't, that doesn't mean that's all who they are.
Absolutely. And there's there's a matter of grace that has to be given. No one's above not receiving grace, right? I think life is going to be hard at times, but it's how do we deal when it gets stressful? Because that's truly what shows who a person is, how they handle when it gets sticky.
Well, I hope that your opportunities in the job isn't as much on the stress end as just the opportunity.
No, I think it's calm, cool, and collective right now.
So you have an office? Is it? It's a City Hall, right?
Yeah.
5th floor.
5th floor. Kind of on the
that half floor.
Yeah. So we're kind of a bit in the annex.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also, because we're in charge of stewarding the boathouse as well, so we go back and forth.
Oh, you have an office at Long Wharf.
Mm-hmm.
That boathouse is interesting. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. Like, it used to be on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
And when they expanded I-95, people in the City Hall, actually, including I believe the arts people, they wanted that building preserved.
Yeah,
and they brought it over. And what's going on over there these days? They have like races and lessons in rowing, right?
So the New Haven boating folks, they have a primary space. And then UNH is doing a lot of their marine studies there, so they are a tenant. And then we also do events. It is also a venue as well. Yeah,
people have had concerts there and meetings.
Yeah, you can come have your meeting. We have folks booking for bar mitzvahs, birthday parties.
Bar mitzvahs on the water?
Holidays, please check us out. We're open. We're taking rentals.
And there was some talk at the beginning that, the Marcel, the fancy hotel that's down the street, do they also use that space when they have conferences, that people stay at the Martel and have conferences there, Marcel?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it would make sense.
Yeah.
I would hope that they
So
would.
the city owns the building, right?
Yes.
And is that sort of your domain?
Yes.
So you're making sure that building's put to its best use?
Yeah, so our arts, culture, and tourism operates as kind of like operations, but in partnership, with the engineering department, because they help maintain the building.
It's interesting to me how we now take for granted this, we have an asset there to help people connect with the water and sort of enjoy what it means to be in New Haven, not just anywhere.
Yeah.
And that wasn't there until very recently. Like, people walked by the water there and they made a park, which wasn't always there. Then the food trucks came and the city helped with that. They set up electricity and things like that.
That part of the city is growing. And it's still not too cold enough to, still come take a walk by.
Like it in the
and then
cold,
also
too.
the Amistad, Discovering Amistad is in the building as well.
And what is that?
The folks who are from the Amistad trials that happened in New Haven, so they are there. I don't want to miss.
But are they trying to help us know the story, keep it alive,
and keep
about
it
the
going.
Slave revolt and the trial here, the first civil rights trial in America?
And also like William Lanson's story. I think they still have a ship. I think they still have.
They have a replica.
Yeah, a vessel. We're still getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to not. They are definitely a big part of that building as well.
And we're talking to Shamain McAllister, getting to know the ropes as director of arts, culture, and tourism. Sha, did you grow up in New Haven?
No.
Where'd you grow up?
No, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, Irvington, New Jersey.
Irvington, what's that near?
So Irvington's right near Newark. So they're really like, I always say both when I speak about where I'm from because they're intertwined. But both very similar aspects. I came to New Haven to go to Alberta's.
Okay.
So
and that area has a real rich tradition of Black culture.
Absolutely.
The Black arts movement of the 60s and 70s, and Amiri Baraka, whose son is now the mayor. Yeah. Did you notice any of that growing up? Was that still vibrant in your day?
Yeah.
Like, what do you remember about growing up there and the culture and
I
things you
remember
did?
when I think of home, when I think of Jersey, I just remember we always have a essence about us, like just of like how these are our values, this is how we're carrying it. You know, people have different perspectives of Newark, Irvington, New Jersey. It's like people have different perspectives of New Haven. But if you get to know the people, they really are prideful people. They think people from New Jersey want to be from New York. We don't. No shade. God bless the people in New York, but if I'm from Jersey, and I'm proud to be from New Jersey. We are addressing people. But even me being in New Haven, I've been here going on 12 years now. I'm always very conscious of that, and that perspective. Like, I'm very immensely grateful for my time in New Haven and Connecticut and what it's given me. But I also know that I started out as a guest in the space. And you know, the city and the people are welcoming me and have been very welcoming to me to sort of embed me and intertwine me into the community. But I also am, you know, I always keep that in mind.
Well, you made a decision to stay here.
Yes.
What was it about New Haven when you went to Alberta's that made you decide this is a place I want to be?
Yeah, it clicked for me.
Do you remember stuff you got involved in the community?
Yeah. I would say my deciding factor to stay in New Haven was, I don't know how other folks are, but I myself, how I'm carrying it. I'm a spiritual woman, a God-fearing woman. So I remember being upset one day, and God met me and He said, "Well, what are you running from that you can't create?" And that really changed my whole trajectory. Because when I came here, I was looking for activities. I already was coming from an organizing, very conscious background. So when I came here, I was looking somewhere to put that energy. So once I got that, I was like, well, touche. I got involved. I became an RA. I joined the Student Government Association in my time in Alberta. So during my time there, I started as the director of student concerns. And from there, we got a lot done. Like, no one had really surveyed the students and asked them, what do they want? How do you feel about the food? How do you feel about, like, what are you looking for? You're spending money to be here. So through that, we were able to get better Wi-Fi, free laundry. They looked at, you know, the food contracts. A lot of things happened. I think when I ended my time at the Student Government Association, I was the vice president of advocacy. We started something I'm really proud of, was the Student Justice League. So that, you know, this was 2016, 2015, 2017.
Stuff was starting.
Yeah. And a lot was happening. So, shout out to Robert Bourgeois, Dr. B. He was instrumental he was teaching humanities at the time. And I would always leave his class and be like, Dr. B, what are we going to do? So we started the Student Justice League, and it started off just as panels, student faculty research panels. So each semester we would pick a different topic and the student would research with the professor. So we did things like police brutality, human trafficking, from a labor standpoint at that time. We spoke about classism and what that looks like in New Haven and what that looks like in Connecticut. But then we also did things around, like, this is when folks' loved ones were first being taken. So we were holding check-ins on campus of how are you doing?
Talking about immigration?
Yes. Yes. Your uncle's going to the doctor and then you don't see him anymore. You don't know what's up. So it was important for us to ask our fellow students, how are you doing? We did things around Women's History Month, Black History Month, but more so to bring awareness. But we did our best to try and find solutions, because I think solutions are important. I think I'm always down for the philosophical. I'm always down to educate, talk about it. I am a nerd in that way. But I do think that it's important to, what can we do within our sphere? There's a lot of people talking, but what are we going to do about it? And
so organizing and activism was sort of in your blood.
Yeah.
What were you studying at Alberta's?
So funny enough, I started out as a business management major. And then they came out with healthcare management. So I said, okay, I like that. If something was to happen, I could go work in healthcare. My minor was criminal justice, but coming into college, I didn't have, none of my folks had went to college. So nobody knew. I didn't know about social work. I sure enough didn't know that there was a whole arts nonprofit world. And I'm so grateful that it found me.
How did that happen?
Oh, God
Because you also went to nonprofit. I was reading your bio that you went to the UConn, University of Connecticut, at Leaders of Color Nonprofit Leadership Program. Was that right after college?
No, that was maybe 2 years ago.
Okay, so I'm jumping ahead then. So how did you get brought into the cultural world of New Haven, and then you stayed?
At Albertus, I was meeting folks a little bit. So I had met the folks. I met Allah and Son from Black Lives Matter New Haven, and God bless her. God bless all of those sisters, but it was Judy Rosenthal. If folks know Judy Rosenthal, her amazing photography.
Yeah.
She was the photographer, and I believe still is at Albertus. Okay. And she looped me in. I would always see her, and she was like, we got to do something. And I remember she
has real social conscious.
Judy is dope. She had looped me in when Tarana Burke came to Yale. And then through there, I met Luciana McClure, who ran Nasty Women Connecticut, and she still does. So that's really was the jump off point. It really was Miss Judy. And then from there, I met Ife. And then I met Aaron Jafaris from The Word. So then it just, all these things just started.
It sounds like Judy Rosenthal played a role that you're going to be playing now, perhaps, as arts czar of the city, which is that you find people who are interested in being involved in the city, be involved in cultural life, and connect them to people, and then they can run off to the races.
Yeah, because that's what it's all about. You have to pay it forward.
And we're talking to Shamain McAllister, who's the new director of arts, culture, and tourism for the city. So after Albertus, where did you go to work? You mentioned something about a bank, which I never knew.
Yeah,
what to do with the bank? You had to pay the bills, right?
Yeah, because I knew it wasn't time for me to go back home. I knew I had to figure it out. Actually, my winter break of that senior year, I packed up all my stuff, and I said, I'm gonna figure it out. Because I knew there was provision here, and I knew this is where I should be. So yeah, I was a banker for a little bit.
Which
at
bank?
People's Bank.
Oh yeah, I remember. Are they still around?
No, it's M&T Bank now.
Okay,
I was down there at the Hamden Stop and Shop.
Oh, okay.
But as God would so have it, that's where I started meeting artists. A lot of people who I would meet later on, I used to cash their checks.
That's so interesting. And so, what was your job there?
I was a teller.
And so, as a teller, you would meet the artists who would come cash their checks, and you talk to them.
Yeah, I'm talking to everybody.
Oh, this is interesting, Shah. So you'd meet these artists at your day job.
Yeah.
And tell me about some of that, like someone you met and what grew out of that.
That's where I met Michael Ross.
Okay.
I met, if you know Ross and Boss, I met Mr. Ross there. I'm trying to, it escapes me, but that's where I met Mr. Ross. And other folks too, because, they were like, Shah, you want to be a glorified check casher? And I was like, well, if I can keep my integrity intact, yeah, because I really wasn't about, I know banks have jobs, they have products they need to sell, right? But I wasn't about selling them by a credit card, and I can see your account. You need literacy. You need a little more TLC on the guidance. I'm not about to put you in a sticky position and then I gotta try and go to sleep.
It's so evil. Remember Wells Fargo used to open accounts for people without even telling them, so you get the fees.
I don't think that's cool.
No, I don't think that's cool either.
No.
But I do appreciate the local key bank, the people who are so nice to see and they really help you and they're a human being.
Yes, the folks at
Something about
Key
seeing
Bank
is
are
old
great.
fashioned about seeing the human being you recognize.
Yes. Shout out to Mr. Dwayne at the Key Bank right over here.
I love Dwayne.
Dwayne is dope.
He's the branch manager. He has everything under control.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's a brother Santiago out at the Fairhaven branch as well. So yeah, and then from there, I was like, I don't know if I can continue this bank life. I started looking for jobs again, and I was like, okay, well maybe do I go back home? I was, got back in my quiet space. Like, what are we doing? And I got the job at the New Haven Symphony Orchestra. So,
yeah, that was one. I've noticed you've done a lot already in New Haven. So, what was your role at the symphony?
So there, I was a development coordinator.
Does that mean you raised money?
I was more so on the data entry side. This is when Dan Kamengay, who now runs, I believe it's Interfaith New Haven, He was the development director at the time, and then that's what kind of really solidified the nonprofit side of it for me. And also that time, Elm City Lit Fest was growing. And I was,
And that's Ife Guardian does that.
Yeah. Back before it became culturally lit what it is now, which is so amazing. And then a lot of the folks who I met knew at the bank.
And did you start out by volunteering with Culturally Lit, or?
Yeah, because I believed in what Ife, I believed in her
And I
vision.
remember people recognized in you someone they wanted to have involved in things. So what kind of stuff did you do there?
Which one?
At Culturally Lit.
At Culturally Lit, we was doing a little bit of everything at that time.
Would you help organize the book events?
Yeah, I was helping the program, helping with the operations, helping. This is when we also had, because when the COVID came, we were doing our podcast, and it was me and Ife every other week, if not once a week. And this is when Rev Kev was doing it for us. Shout out to Rev. But at that time it was just me and her. So we was doing everything that we could to make it happen.
That was just what an important role the arts played for people to try to keep us connected and keep our souls fed.
Absolutely. And literacy is important. And even the skills that I learned at the bank, because prior to that I worked at Walgreens. That's how I was paying my tuition in high school. But
which one? The one in Hamden?
Yes, that just closed.
On Dixwell, yeah.
Met a lot of folks there. That's where I first met Huggy Bear, Ronald from Youth and Recreation. I met him there, and a lot of people I would see. So I didn't know it was a build-up, but I am extremely grateful for my time at the Symphony.
And you've also been involved. I mean, you bring a lot of experiences to your new job as Director of Arts and Culture Tourism. You're on the board. You're the Vice Chair of the Arts Council.
Yes.
Of Greater New Haven. And you're board member of Best Video, which has become a whole culture center in Hamden. What kind of work you done there? What? Tell me about some work there that's been interesting to you. And
so with Best Video, I'll start with Best Video and then talk a little bit about the Arts Council. With Best Video, I started knowing this thing. I got introduced to Best Video. It was right before a snowstorm, and I met Hank Kaufman. And I went in there looking for black exploitation movies to just figure out, why not?
Those are fun, black exploitation.
It's gonna snow. And I went in there and I met Hank, and Hank, Hank is very knowledgeable. He's a great brother. And I was like, we should do a film festival about, revolutionary work and things of that nature. And Hank was like, okay. So, but he always stayed in touch with me. And then
he ran that place for a bunch of years before Ray took over.
Yeah.
I used to work with Hank back in the day at Alternative Weekly in the 90s. He started as a punk rocker in the 80s.
No, he's still in the band.
Yeah, I know. They redid the same old band they used to have, Happy Ending. Yeah.
He's still going strong.
And he's always political activist.
It's been amazing to still be a part of Best Video.
So have you got involved with putting on that film series?
I did a film series, but it wasn't through them. This is when, if I forget the name of the space, but Randy McCray had a space on Willow Street. And I was blessed to be able to do the neighborhood leadership program from the Community Foundation, and Miss Randy let me use her space. And it was, I forgot, we showed at that time, we had showed Set It Off, we had shown Moonlight. And in my time as vice chair of the Arts Council, I've been learning a lot of stewarding. And just being there to help support Hope is taking on a lot of advocacy. I think when people do hear this, I hope that folks would consider donating and sharing their resources with all these organizations, and know that the Arts Council is more than just the Arts Council keeps a lot going on. They're a steward for a lot of people. They're a fiscal sponsor for a lot of people.
And that means that if you want to do a prize up, you're not technically a nonprofit, you can get nonprofit donations. They help you do that.
Yes. But I think if people could see the Arts Council as a place of where, I got to support the Arts Council too.
It was interesting to me the way they made a decision recently at the Arts Council to try to keep everybody working because we have these funding challenges now.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know the state program existed. That if instead of laying off people when your money dries up, you cut their hours, but then the state helps fill some of the money. So if you're going to halftime, you get paid 3/4 time.
It shows their duty. It shows that their staff's commitment. Their staff is amazing. But I think folks got to also think about what that means. People love the arts paper, but that's reduced. they can only do but so much, and the different programs that comes out of the Arts Council, folks would love to go back to full time. And I believe in ecosystems, right? I think that we can all help support each other, because you cannot have a lot of dollars. You could have many dollars, but each dollar is worth something. Where you're putting your dollars makes a difference.
It was interesting for me to hear you talk about this, because this is the season we're coming up to as we get closer to Thanksgiving, when people donate a lot of money to things. And you just on your own said, I hadn't asked you about this, about how you want people to give money to places like the Arts Council and Arts Organization. Is that a big part of your job, to try to help arts organizations stay strong and keep people employed in the arts?
Yeah, I think it hasn't been put down on me to do that, but it's something that I feel in my heart, for organizations and independent artists as well, and creatives, right? Because you don't have to be a starving artist anymore. I think that's crazy. There's so many ways for people to take care of themselves. I do believe in self-sufficiency. I believe New Haven is a city to where everything we need is right here. I think it's just a matter of how do we make sure that if someone is in need or what we need, how can we support each other? I guess one would say economically, but if you have a strong economic city and state and people, you don't really have to want for nothing. It's amazing that I'm watching people come together right now and support each other with food pantries, folks giving out things, how Jack New Haven is supporting folks back in Jamaica on their own, independently, immediately. Miss K and everybody over there answered the call. I think we have to answer the call for each other. I don't want to see arts organizations close. I want to see them grow. I hate to see anybody close. I really do. I hate to see folks close down, because how can we prevent this? I really like to be proactive rather than reactive. Some things do slip through the cracks, but how can we get ahead of it?
So what's some thoughts about how you might be able to help do that as director of arts? And is that one thing you're going to be focused on in coming months, about how to help organizations stay afloat?
Yeah, I think it starts, folks got to be honest. The old nonprofit models had a lot of smoke and mirrors around it. And I genuinely, in our office and other people, want to help. But if I don't know what's going on through and through, I cannot help you to the best of my ability. And I think folks got to think outside the box a little bit. Things can't continue to always be how they've been. What worked before may not work now. So I think folks, if we can get on the same page, we're a big city, but we're a small enough city to where we can all be in the loop, and that it's not a scarcity mindset. There aren't a set amount of chairs at a table. This table is as big as we want it to be, and everyone can be here. So I think I can't tell people where to give their dollars, but I would encourage folks to be more intentional. And the things that you want to see happen, think about organizations and peoples, because not even just arts organizations, we think about the Arts Council, right? A creative arts workshop, a festival, but we also got to think about the Shack out in West Rock. That's an arts organization. It's a community center, but it also does so much. They're feeding people within that region. You think about
Concord, Creative Consciousness, Bergamos.
Yeah, you think about these amazing people, and Miss Kim in Newhallville would inspire communities. I think us expanding our range of thinking and what's out there, but a lot of folks don't know.
What is the current environment? Is this a tougher time for arts organizations in general? Like, what's happened? The Arts Council needing to pull back. Is that reflective of what's happening with many arts organizations? Or is that specific to them, and our budget's pretty much the same they've been? Or are we in a moment of scarcity?
No.
I know you don't want a scarcity mindset,
yeah.
But are we in a moment of challenge for finance that's different from what it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah, and I think that's for a lot of people.
And what's that about? Is that federal budget cuts? Is it private giving?
I think it's a combination, right? Because I think, folks coming out of COVID, there was a lot of COVID money. There was a lot of extra money floating around. And a lot of that money is drying up in different places. We have different things coming from different places of what people feel is important.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it goes back to culture and what we think in New Haven is important.
How are federal cutbacks right now current, besides the fact that COVID money expired? Have the cutbacks in the federal government affected local arts organization yet?
I can't speak for everybody's budget, but I would say yes. I would say yes.
So you're kind of stepping into this role as new director of arts, culture, tourism at a time where we're going to need to be doing a little more TLC for arts organizations, which are so central to how our community operates. I mean, everybody thinks of the arts and culture as the defining aspect of New Haven, one of our strengths.
Yeah, and if we're going to be the cultural capital, the people need capital. You know, and trusting folks to steward it that way. And you're right, it's a bit of a challenging time, but that's okay.
We're up for it.
Yeah, we'll see it through. We are resilient, and it's just for a season. Mm-hmm. And as you and I were talking before, I think I was talking to you about this when I got here earlier. It's how people handle when it gets sticky.
Yeah.
Because that shows who you are.
Yeah.
And I think we'll show up as our best selves.
All right. You know, even though you're technically new to the job, you've been involved. You've been in the room when New Haven arts decisions have been made, not just at the Arts Council. Your predecessor helped develop a plan, a cultural plan for the city, a cultural equity plan. And you were a team member of that.
Yeah.
What was involved? Like, what did you guys figure out on that group?
So in the cultural equity plan, I was a part of a co-creation team members. So, excuse me, I forgot who were the folks, the organization that was stewarding it, but they were really asking us, like, what do you want to see? Like, what are you hearing in your communities? What are some things that we're overlooking? Because the cultural equity plan is meant to be a workbook that you should be able to go through this. And if you want to get something started in your community, within your organization, if you got to do some work with the folks in your organization or your board, you could be able to use this as a jump off point to go wherever you need to go that you feel like is best for your organization or yourself. I myself, when I came into it, this was, I think, 2021, 22. So a little bit of the specifics, but I can tell you how I remember showing up to each meeting is that I was showing up as my authentic self. And always bringing to the forefront, well, who's not here that we should consider? Are y'all playing? Like, are we just talking to talk, or are we going to see this through? And we saw it through. But it was an honor to be a part of a framework. Like, I don't think it's the end all be all, but to at least going back to culture, like, no, we're coming in equitable. We understand that in the past things may have not been, but we are trying to right those wrongs and move forward in a better light.
Another experience you had was interesting. New Haven's in the process of thinking of a new comprehensive plan, how we want to build out our city, what do we want to look like in 2034. And you were a community navigator for trying to get people involved, so it wasn't just people who work at City Hall decide what our city's going to look like. What kind of work did you do there as a community navigator?
Yeah, so the lovely folks over at City Plan, Laura and Esther was from City Plan was a great, she was kind of stewarding that from the city side. And then I forget the lovely folks, I forget their exact names, the company in Bridgeport, from Bridgeport, who was helping us steward that. But with that, it was letting folks know that this is happening, that this comprehensive plan for the next 10 years, or where they will, if they make a law, if anything goes into action, is going to come from here. And they're asking, what are your current needs? So I felt as though I've always been a very much on the ground type person, very much like foot to pavement. Because one, everybody's not going to see it online. Everyone's not going to see a social post. They may not even have a radio to hear the radio. So that's why I think all assets of media are important. But I wanted to make sure that the folks knew this is happening. And I'm asking you, what do you need? A lot of people were apprehensive.
What'd you hear? What did people need?
Folks were like, I need the street fixed before you put a speed bump. Mm-hmm. I need to know where the dollars coming from, and how do I see those things through. People were saying, we need better trash cans over here. We need funding for our neighborhoods. We need different things. And I think what folks also need in addition to that is, I think we could do a better job of looping folks in on civics and processes.
Secretary of State Stephanie Thomas is talking a lot about that too. the people in civics, how do you get involved in your community? How do you find out when stuff's going on? How do you get your voice heard?
Yeah, because if you don't know that a meeting's happening or what meeting to go to, sometimes you feel like as if you're yelling at a wall and that no one's hearing you, that you're being ignored.
Well, people now won't be yelling at a wall when it comes to arts and culture and tourism. They'll be talking with Shah.
I hope not.
Being heard. Any what do you got going on this week? You're off today. It's Veterans Day. What's going on?
Yeah, we're off today. This week we have when I think of event wise this week, tomorrow afternoon, the lovely folks from the Yale School of Art and Yale Care, they're putting together a meet and greet over at the library, the downtown library, from 4 to 6 to come meet myself. But then also the artists who, if folks know about the 60 Audubon space that they have that's open to artists, they're doing that from 4 to 6. And then this Friday is our last Elm City Flow for the year. So folks who know about our amazing outgoing poet laureate Shamain Influence Little, his last Elm City Flow, which is like spoken word down at City Hall, that is this Friday.
Oh, what time?
6 p.m. we'll open the doors and then we'll get started at 7. And then this Sunday, just plugging other things that are going on. Culturally Lit is having their soiree at the Schubert Theater. I believe there are still tickets available. Folks can get those at culturallylit.org. And then I think that's what's on my. That's
a lot already. You just talked about 4 days. You already got a lot going on with the flow and the soiree.
No, it's jumping. It's jumping. It's been we haven't just been, at 165 in these 2 weeks. I was blessed to be able to meet the people at Preservation CT and support their gala that they had. The New Haven Association of Business and Professional Women, they just had an amazing Denim and Pearls event last Friday at the Eli in Hamden. They had Colonel Cummings, who helped write the book about the women of the 6888, and 10 of those women were from Connecticut.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and one of the descendants, she's working on trying to get a state resolution. So if folks know anything a little bit about that, please, support that sister and what she's doing. Fallon Thomas leads the New Haven Business Association, the New Haven Club chapter of that. So there's been a lot jumping, and there's a lot to come. I'm very excited about the Community Foundation's Women and Girls luncheon that they're having. I forget the sister who's coming, but there's just so much going on in the city. And then
it is, and you're gonna be right in the thick of it. Help keeping it going.
You're happy to do so.
Well, everyone's wishing you the best, Sean. Excited about your tenure as Director of Arts, Culture, and Tourism in New Haven.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on Dateline New Haven.
Of course.
And thanks to Harry Drost behind the controls. We're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free from the group CD, A Plea for Peace. This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day and all night long at WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio.